I have in front of me here a 90 centimeter universal satellite dish, and the purpose of this video is to give an overview of how it actually go and assemble it. So let's look at the three main component parts of it. We have the actual skin of the dish, which we have here. We have the arm here, which comes from the dish and holds the LNB at the correct distance out. And then we have a box components, such as this box here, and it contains the elevation bracket, the dish bracket, the LNB holder here, and the various nuts and bolts that we're going to need. Okay, so what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to move the 90 centimeter skin out of the way for now, and we're just going to go through the assembly process itself. So in terms of what way to hold this, the key point here is that we have the curved part on top, and what we need to do now is we need to come along, we need to bolt this in. So the very first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to get this bolt, and I'm going to slide it through here like this, and I will line this up here, push it through, and then I just get a washer nut here. And what we're going to do is I will come along and I'll put in the second bolt here, and I'll bolt it in here like this. So that's the initial assembly. That's been fully done now. Okay? So the next part is to come along and get the actual elevation bracket and put it on next. So I have this partly assembled here. I have the bottom U-bolt put on here like this. And what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to put on the top one. It's very simple. Just get the U-bolt here, slide it through the top two holes here, come along, get this locking mechanism here, slide it on, and we get our first nut here, the washer built onto it, and the same one here. So what we want to do now is we want to attach this to the bracket, and the way we want to do this is we want to do it in a manner where we have the curved part with the angles marked on it on the base. So what we'll do is we'll slide this in. So there's two holes on top, one either side, and then there's a slot as well. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to slide this down here, and I'm just going to push this in here now. So the first thing I'm going to point out about this one is you'll see there's a little square section on the top of this nut, and it makes it very handy in terms of number one, when we're doing it, we don't need to be able to hold the washer in position, and number two, when we're doing it as well, it just means that when we tighten it afterwards, it'll really lock and hold into position. So it's great there, because the last thing you want to do is when you have the actual angle set that it starts moving on you. So you get something that's locked much tighter like that, even on the hinging section here is good. So we'll obviously put in 4 bolts here in total, in reality, but in this situation, I'm just going to push in a total of 2. So I'm just going to slide this one in from this side. Sorry, and I'm just going to line up this perfectly first. It'll just make it handier. And probably won't see this so good, but you can see the next nut is just sliding up here like this, and we'll just lock it on like that. So we've a lot of the assembly of this dish done now already at this point. Obviously, if we had this would be bolted onto the back of the dish, and we'll be angling this off our bracket or our pole. So the next step of the assembly is actually to bolt this onto the satellite dish itself. So this part of this is going to be out of focus here now, but what I'm going to do is I'm just going to slide this through here. You're going to see this pop on the far side here. So you can see the part that's going to actually hold the LNB is visible there now. And you can see how this countersunk here, and we have flat screws here. We're going to be using our Phillips screwdriver in a moment. What I'm going to do here now is what I do is I could just get a Phillips screwdriver here, and I can just screw this in here and tighten it all the way through. So initially, because the 4 holes, we probably loosely tighten at, put the 4 nuts in and then come along. So what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to repeat here on this bottom corner. And at that particular point in time, what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to rotate this around so you can see it a little bit better. And if you can see here, it's the bottom screw here. So I'm doing this quite awkwardly in terms of trying to give a view. And we'll just repeat it for all 4 corners and tighten it right in using a 10mm socket and this Phillips screwdriver. So I'll just get this dish, I'm going to hold it here again, get it held again. And the final part of the process here is just putting on the LNB holder here itself, okay? So what I'm going to do here is we'll just look at what comes here. We have a screw, we have a bolt, and we have a nut here as well. and we have the L&B holder here itself. So when I go to do this, the first thing I'd actually do is just come along and just click this on. And if we look here, we can see the hole here should line up with the hole inside. And next I'll actually come along and put the L&B on like that. And then we put the locking mechanism in. And then we just clip it along here. And then we have two parts that we need to bolt in. We have the actual bolt here. I'm just going to rotate this around. And the bolt here, which I just slide directly through and bolt it on the far side. And then the second part here is the screw that simply screw in here and it just locks into position. And that's basically it anyway. So you can see anyway the overall assembly process of this. It's pretty straightforward. And you know, for such a large dish, we'll say 90 centimeters getting and beyond, we'll say the standard type 1s, all the rest of it. I find the general assembly process in this pretty straightforward. So hopefully anyway you'll find that video useful to you. An overview of how to assemble a universal 90 centimeter dish.